Now welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Hey, what is going on, good people? Welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. You can also catch me on Rob Johnson Sports media page, also on my Facebook page as well. I'm also live on the Legacy Maker Sports Network Facebook page. So my Facebook, Legacy Maker Indeed, the Legacy Maker YouTube, and the Rob Johnson Media Sports page on YouTube. I have a special show for you guys tonight. We're not going to be on here too crazy long tonight. Get you guys so you can see my face really quick. Not going to be on here too crazy long tonight. We basically have three topics. We have USC football, which we're going to bring on Mr. Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. We're going to bring him on. We're going to talk some USC football. We're going to go through some things or whatnot. Also, we are going to talk about Monday Night Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Raw tonight was absolutely amazing. Some storylines came out of it. We had some things that I think that are going to make for some very interesting angles going forward. So when we talk about WWE, of course, me and Darrell Owens, we had that program this past week where we actually had Gold Standard Wrestling, which is the new show. It's not actually a new show, but it's a show that I've done before, but I want to revamp it and bring it to the Legacy Maker Sports Network, also Rob Johnson Media, to show you guys what Real Wrestle Talk is all about. So I'm very proud to bring it to you all. Very proud to make sure that everybody has that ability to see what the Legacy Maker Sports Network is all about. What we're going to do, like I said, we have Jonathan Mathis coming up at 11:20. We had a little bit of a delay, but that was on my end. So we're going to talk to Jonathan Mathis at that time. But what I wanted to discuss with you all first, before we got into anything tonight, is just what's going on with college football. Like I said, as we're talking about college football, we're going to be talking about USC tonight. We're going to be talking the Legacy Maker Network, Sports Network experts, top 5 teams tomorrow night. I think that what's going on right now in college basketball, college basketball and college football overall, because you have a lot of teams who are, going back and forth. They're trying to go to this conference. They're trying to go to that conference. I'm not the biggest fan of what's going on right now, because I'm a big proponent of rivalries. I believe in territories. I believe that rivalries make college sports what they are. Yes, you're going to have some really good teams that are going to be matching up in the future here. But just imagine, folks, if we had this system back in 2006, you wouldn't have had Michigan, Appalachian State, 2006, 2007. You wouldn't have had some of the great upsets. And I think that's one thing that everybody has to remember. And it's like I said, it's no offense to college basketball, but you look at college basketball and you look at how everything runs. In college basketball, you have important games in the regular season, and yes, college basketball, you do have important games, and you have to be able to make the tournament, etc. But it just doesn't have that feel of college football. In college basketball, the regular season is crucial. I'm not going to say that it's not, because you lose a certain number of games, you're not going to make the NCAA tournament. You're fighting for your life to make the NCAA tournament. But in college football, it felt like for a long time, if you lost one game, you were out. That was it. So it's crucial you won every game. And if you did lose a game, you lose it early. Us going to this 12-team playoff, I think, is going to make a huge difference. I think that it's going to not destroy the game, but I think that it's really going to hurt college football, especially. Now, the thing that nobody else is really talking about is how is this going to hurt other sports? You see, we all think about college basketball and college football and sometimes even college baseball. But what about the teams that are wrestling? What about the teams that are playing tennis, swimming, things like that? We don't think about those teams. We don't think about how this affects them, how that travel is going to affect them going down the road. And I think that's a huge problem. I think that's a huge problem. I think that, when you look at college football, as big as college football is, as much as we love college football, yes, pretty much it does pretty much run the other sports. And we get that. But, what are we going to do with other sports? You have a tennis team who would usually, like, let's say you have Cal playing, I don't know if they even have some tennis teams. I'm just giving examples here. You have a USC who plays, I don't know, Cal every year in tennis. What happens when they got to go across the country to play Rutgers? I get it, folks. I get it. There's money involved. I understand that, conferences need to make money. But the thing is, everybody, is we need to understand, as we have Jonathan Mathis coming in here, let me add him to the. Hey, what's going on, Sports Judge? How you doing tonight, sir?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. I'm doing good. I can't complain. Before we get to USC, sir, I just wanted to get your quick opinion. I think that what's going on in college football right now with just over college sports with the expansion and all that is just, I think it's hurting the game, sir. I just really think it's hurting the game. I think that when you have a USC and a UCLA going to play in the Big Ten, having to travel cross country to play Rutgers, things like that, I think it's bad for the game. In your opinion, real quick, what do you think about that?
It's money, my friend. It's money. And if you go to a conference like the Big Ten, like UCLA and USC are doing, they're going to a conference where they get a bang for their buck. What I mean by that, you got the TV deals, you got the media deals, you got more exposure. Maybe you can recruit some of the nation's best because now these guys see that they're Big Ten schools. They might want to go to a Big Ten school like USC or UCLA, and the Pac-12 it's slowly dying because it's not as relevant as it once was. It used to be one of the most respected conferences in college football. That's not the case anymore with the Pac-12 conference. You got schools that's trying to leave the Mountain West Conference, a conference lower than the Pac-12, to go to the Pac-12 conference. The Pac-12 conference has fallen off. It's devastating to see what the Pac-12 conference has become, and the Pac-12 conference in a minute here is going to be down to 2 teams because I heard today that Cal and Stanford now are talking about leaving for the ACC. So all of this is crazy. Yes, in your opinion, and you onto something here by saying it's hurting college football, but it's not hurting the pockets.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we've got to say. I've seen teams that have left conferences. I follow Miami, but since they left the Big East, and I'm just going to be really honest with everybody, they had an easy schedule for a long time. And I know people don't want to hear that, but I will say this to all the people out there who want to see the bigger games instead of seeing the teams play the FCS teams. Be very careful what you wish for. I've seen a lot of teams go to these new conferences and they struggle. I mean, there's a reason that Colorado is going back to the Big 12. It's not just because the Pac-12 sucks and people think the Pac-12 sucks. They've struggled. They have 110 win season. Look at the Missouris of the world. Look at a lot of these teams. So I totally agree with you. It's about the money, but I'm going to miss that. People are going to miss the old days when the college football regular season meant everything. And now you're going to have a 3, 4, 5 loss SEC team in the playoff. Are we really ready for that? I don't know. But getting off that subject.
Also this too. It's also trying to jockey. It's also trying to jockey for a position in the playoff spot. If you're in a Pac-12, if you're a Pac-12 school, you're most likely going to get overlooked. I don't care if you have undefeated season. You're not going to get the fourth spot in the playoffs. And let's say you have a one loss, you're getting overlooked. You're not getting a playoff spot if you're in the Pac-12. So now UCLA and USC have a better chance to get a playoff spot because they're in a more respected conference now in the Big Ten. But here's the disadvantage: logistics. Yes. Now you're playing on the East Coast. You're playing teams in colder climates. I mean, the weather on the East Coast is treacherous, you know. And a lot of these players are from Southern California. They're not used to this kind of weather. They haven't been in temperatures lower than 50 degrees, below 50 degrees. I don't know how they will adjust to having to play in cold weather, but they will have no choice but to now because now they're going to be playing teams on the East Coast. So that's the only thing with the whole thing. And then travel. They didn't take travel into consideration. So there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this as well, Sports Judge. I mean, I've heard people say the comparison, well, you know, people go to Washington and it rains in Seattle, Washington. I don't mean no offense. Seattle, Washington, yes, it rains a lot, it gets cold, but it ain't Camp Randall in November. Okay? It ain't Camp Randall. It's not Indiana. It's not Michigan in late November when it's cold and freezing. And the biggest example I can give to everybody, I get it. USC is a big brand. So was Nebraska. Where the hell have they been since they went to the Big Ten? So let's just be honest about that. I know it's harsh, but I just hope that USC and UCLA don't fall into the trap. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the USC football. And before we get to this season, we're going to take a revamp of last year. Sports Judge, when you look at USC last year, give me your thoughts about that team who went 11-3.
Well, it was a surprise year for USC because no one expected USC to have the season that they had. Mm-hmm. I know Lincoln Riley is the coach. I know, you know, he changed the culture, but they got going kind of quick, right? They overachieved.
Yep.
They overachieved in a way. In many ways, they overachieved. It was an awesome season for them, and now you see why they are the preseason favorites. You know, hey, you know they earned it. They played well last season. They did their thing. They did what they needed to do. I think we overlooked USC's running game. The Trojans were solid on the ground last season with Travis Dye. He was so steady, and then you had Austin Jones. He had big games against UCLA and Notre Dame late in the season. And then you look at what Caleb Williams did. Caleb Williams was tremendous on his way to claiming the Heisman Trophy. The receiver group was deep and talented. The offensive line was strong. And then USC's offense was just so well-rounded last season. The only problem with USC was their defense. Their defense was a liability a lot of times. They couldn't come up with the necessary stops when they needed to. And that was just the troubling part for the Trojans. That defense. That defense let up a lot of times. They gave up big plays. That's where USC had a lot of trouble, was defense.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Sports Judge. I'm glad I was prepared for that because, as you see on this little thing right here we have that I brought up for you, the Trojans were 8th worst in FBS in yards allowed per play, 6.5, ranked 94th nationally in scoring defense, 29.2 points per game. Alex Grinch is back for another attempt to fix the Trojans, and it has been their Achilles heel. But when you look at Lincoln Riley, let's be honest about Lincoln Riley. Even going back to Oklahoma, Sports Judge, he has not been there to take care of the defense. And to me, it's troubling because even with Oklahoma, they had some really good teams, but they could never get over the hump because their defense was so bad. I mean, in your opinion, as good as his offense is, what do you need to see from that Trojans defense this year?
He's an offensive guru, so he's great, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Now, you brought up that he is not a defensive-minded coach, which he's not. So what he's going to have to do is hire a great defensive-minded coach, and I don't think Alex Grinch is the guy.
I don't think so either.
I think Alex Grinch is not that great of a defensive coordinator. I think that's what's going to have to change is the defensive coordinator. I think once that change, I think once you get more players who can commit to playing defense, then I think they will tighten up in that area, and I think they will become better and more consistent on the defensive side of the ball. Where they need to put more of their focus on is the defensive side of the ball.
Definitely. Well, Sports Judge, here's the thing. We have a young man that is coming to USC. He is out of Arizona. I think I was telling you about this earlier. They lose Jordan Addison, who was a big loss for them. He had 59 catches for 875 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. Now you still bring back Washington, you bring back Williams. They had 11 touchdowns combined. You bring back Rice. Yeah, they had some transfers. We had one transfer. I think it was Ford who went to UCLA. But real quick before I get to this, a quick video package of the USC's new tight end, who is a freshman who's going to be 6'7", 230, and is just an absolute man on the field. Talk about the USC receivers and what do you think they can accomplish this year, especially after losing Jordan Addison? Or does it even matter because Caleb Williams is so good?
Well, I think when you have, I was just about to say that. I think when you have a great quarterback like Caleb Williams, who has great vision, who is good through his progressions, who works great through his progressions, and who battles in the trenches, your receivers are going to be great, because when you have a great quarterback as good as him and someone who is able to create plays for his receivers, yes, they're going to be very productive. Yeah. And they are stars in their own right?
Exactly.
They are legitimately good in their own right. So you can't help but to get better when you have a signal caller as smart, as savvy, and as good and as athletic as Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams is everything. I mean, he's the complete package. The dude can scramble. He can buy time. He can elude pressure. We saw that last season. He had defense. He kept defenses guessing. And this is a guy who was able to move his feet, to escape the pressure, to elude the pressure. He made defenders miss tackles. I mean, the guy was impressive. Was spectacular. And so when you have a quarterback that dynamic, your receivers are only going to get better.
Yeah, and when people forget real quick, before we get to the video package, Sports Judge, people forget just how good Spencer Rattler was at Oklahoma before Caleb Williams came. Caleb Williams put so much pressure on him that he just wilted under pressure. Now, good luck to him now because he's at South Carolina. But what he's done over the years, I mean, this guy should have been multiple-time Heisman Trophy winner. Hell, he could win it this year. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, just how good he is, and he gets a lot of disrespect for some reason nationally. I don't get it, but he's a good dude, man, and he's just a baller. Without him, USC loses 6-7 games last year.
Yeah, you're right. Without him, and yes, you can make a case that he can win the Heisman. He was an X factor for USC, no question about it. Athletic, fundamentally sound, an all-around talented player. I mean, a guy like him, yes, he could take your team to greater heights, and that's what happened last season. So, yes, a huge part of what USC was able to do on the field came through him as well. So, yes, I agree 100% with your statement there, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people, like you even said it, they didn't mention him.
Yeah, well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? When you have one dynamic weapon, what happens when you add a 6'7" weapon? That's the weapon. Now, here's the video package. There we go, Sports Judge. There we go. That man is 6'7", 230. Let me give you his stats, Sports Judge. In his senior season, this is just one season now. 84 catches in 14 games, 1,614 yards with 14 touchdowns at Pinnacle High School. If I know a lot of people on the East Coast probably know about Pinnacle in Arizona, but they play everybody. And to do that, what do you think about that, Sports Judge? What do you think about that weapon coming to your team?
He was dragging dudes.
That's what I'm saying.
On that one play, he was dragging dudes. That just shows you his stamina and his ability to stay on his feet and to continue to plow through defenders. Amazing. Amazing. That is a weapon that you can do amazing things with, because what he does now, he weaponizes your offense. He makes your offense that much more better and that much better. And look, check this out too. Also, a guy like him, a guy of his size, he will draw a lot of attention. So what that does, that leaves the other receivers open, and now you got other guys making plays because the attention is on a guy like that who looks terrorizing and who looks like an offensive force that can't be stopped.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys that doesn't have the greatest probably high school quarterback, but he makes do with it. So just imagine he gets a guy like Caleb Williams. Now, Sports Judge, we're going to go to the most important part of this, and then I'm going to let you go. But we're going to get to the USC schedule. And this is no offense to everybody, to the rest of the USC schedule. We understand that everybody, has to play the game and whatnot. But for me, these are the games that I sent to you and that I picked as the most important games on the USC schedule. Of course, they started with San Diego State. They have Nevada, Stanford. They're off, and then they're at Arizona State. All tough games. But I think that these games are critically important. The first game I think is critically important. It will be Saturday, September 30th, USC against Colorado. And why is that game so significant, Sports Judge? Because Deion Sanders, because of what he's brought to Colorado, what he has changed the environment at Colorado. Talk about that game and talk about how you think that game will go.
Yeah, that's a game that is worth watching. That's gonna be USC's test right there. That's gonna test their strength. We will see where they are in the season when they play Colorado. We will see who they are. I think we'll have a better identity on who the Trojans are when they meet Deion Sanders' Colorado team. That won't be an easy victory. That's going to be a tough game, actually, because like you said, you got Deion Sanders. He has changed the atmosphere. You talk about a culture transformation. That's a culture transformation right there.
When you talk about a team that was 1-11, and now they brought in great transfers. Right. Yep.
They brought in great transfers. They got more athletic. They're more competitive now. So it won't be easy for USC. And that, you're right, that's a game that they can easily lose particularly if their defense plays like it played last season. They can't be mediocre and they can't fall asleep against Deion Sanders' Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, because that they're going to have speed and the altitude and everything like that. Yep. I think USC takes that game only because Caleb Williams and their experience. Of course, next week they got Arizona. We're not going to really talk about Arizona because it's Arizona, and we know what Arizona's been the last few years. But the next week, Saturday, October 14th, this team right here, I think you know this team very, very well. Notre Dame. That right there is going to be a clash. These two teams had a really good game last year. Notre Dame has been up and down the last few years, but they've been playing good football. Talk about this game. Talk about the rivalry, and what do you expect when they play the Irish at Notre Dame?
Well, you plan in a hostile environment. You plan them earlier in the year. You plan them earlier in the year only because it's it's in Notre Dame. So they kind of accommodate their schedule because they don't want USC going in later in the year when they usually play when it's a home game for USC because of the cold weather. So they play it earlier in the year, which is why this game is going to be played earlier than usual. But Notre Dame, man, they look really good. They got a lot of talent, and they always play hard against USC. Let's keep it real. They play very hard against USC because it's one of the most storied rivals in college. One of the most storied rivalries in college football.
Yes.
So this is a game that USC can lose. But I think with Caleb Williams and I think with all the weapons that they have, and I think knowing how big of a game this is and the magnitude of the game, I think USC takes care of business.
I totally agree, Sports Judge. Like I said again, I think that this college football year is going to be very competitive. But again, I don't see them losing Notre Dame. I think they're better than Notre Dame. I think they have the weapons coming in. I think the defense, we talk about defense, I think defense is going to be better. This is where I think the college, that the schedule makers did USC dirty. Because as you know, if it had not been for this team last year, USC would have easily been in the national championship. I'm talking about one of the teams that has been a thorn in your side. I'm talking about the Utah Utes, a team that a lot of people, when they came to the Pac-12, thought, oh, they're not going to do anything. I have to remind people, this is the Utah Utes that had Alex Smith, that beat Alabama in a bowl game one time, a major bowl game. Talk about Utah and how they've been a thorn in your side, and can USC take them out at home on October 21st?
Well, Utah has USC's number.
Yes.
So when you look in recent history, things haven't boded well for USC whenever they take on Utah. Whenever they take on Utah, that's usually a team that they can't seem to figure out. They usually beat USC. And that team is well coached. That team has some of the best athletes in college football, some of the best athletes in the nation. So I think, and that game's not going to be easy for USC. I think Utah might edge it out again.
Yeah, well, if you go back to, I believe it was the October 15 game last year,
yeah.
Utah beat them 43-42. And I know, I mean, listen, a lot of people were shocked because they were like, they thought that they were going to come in and win that game, that USC was going to win that game. And the game was at Utah, so it was a close game. But, there was a lot of mistakes that USC made. There was some great play as well. If we look back at the championship game, of course, Caleb Williams was hurt. They lost 47-24, and it was a lot worse than that. Talk about that Pac-12 championship game and what the revenge factor should be going to the regular season game.
It's usually tough to beat a team, twice or three times?
Twice in the season, yep.
Twice in the season. Utah did it. Utah was prepared for USC. USC wasn't really prepared for that game, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Utah came in there with the notion and the determination to take down USC, and USC's offense just looked out of sync. You didn't see the USC that you saw during the regular season in that Pac-12 championship game. And USC let's just call it for what it is. They got alienated against a better Utah football team.
Yeah, I definitely will agree. Now, after Utah, they have California on October 28th. We all know that's still a rivalry. It's not what it used to be, but it's still a rivalry. But the game that I'm looking forward to, and I think that this game, Sports Judge, is going to have national implications. Not only championship implication, but it's going to have Heisman. There's a guy right now at Washington that people still are not giving the love and credit to here on the East Coast, and that's Michael Penix Jr. Mark my words, Sports Judge, when the season is over and we're talking about quarterbacks, we're going to be talking about Penix Jr., and we're going to talk about Caleb Williams. Everybody who said that the number one pick is sewn up in the bag, I don't think so. Because let me remind everybody, this Michael Penix Jr. went to Indiana and damn near had them winning the Big Ten before he got hurt. Talk about, so here we go. We got USC, we got Washington. A great historic rivalry. A rivalry that a lot of people, again, on the East Coast just don't respect. But me, being a historian of the game, I respect this rivalry. I love this rivalry. Talk about the rivalry. Talk about that game and what it could mean for championship implications.
Well, that's one thing about the Pac-12. As bad as it's been for the Pac-12, they have a collection of talent at the quarterback position. I mean, you look at all the teams in the Pac-12 conference, and each of them have a legitimate quarterback.
Yes.
They have a top-notch quarterback, and Michael Penix Jr. is one of them. I mean, that dude's electric, right?
Yes.
He's very explosive. He's an all-around athlete. And if you have a defense that can't come up with stops and can't find a way to neutralize him, it's going to be a tough afternoon for you. And this is a game, yes, you're right. This is a game that could have implications. And USC's defense is going to have to play top-notch football. They're going to have to really be up on their game against a guy like Michael Penix Jr. because Michael Penix Jr. can run all over you all day if you let him.
Yes.
Not only can he run all over you all day, he can also use his aerial attack and find his receivers and make something happen that way too. So, in other words, he can hurt you both through the air and on the ground because he's a dual threat quarterback and he's just a gifted talent.
Yes, I definitely agree. And like I said, this game is going to have implications. Again, that game is going to be November the 4th as we get closer to the end of the season. Next game, Sports Judge, this is my next important game. And I know UCLA is the last game of the season, but we have Robinson, who's no longer there. I need to see what UCLA can do. And as we saw in the preseason game the other night, young man, Dorian Robinson, he's legit, all right? And he has been UCLA the last few years. And I know you can't stand UCLA, but we just had to give him some credit there. He has been the UCLA brand the last couple of years, but until I see their next starting quarterback and what they have to offer, I can't really take UCLA seriously, in my opinion. But one team I can take seriously is another thorn that's been the USC side, and that's this team right here, the Oregon Ducks. So, Sports Judge, again, for the people on the East Coast, unlike myself, who don't understand just how much of a thorn Oregon has been, and it's being reported that Oregon could be going to the Big Ten, which I know USC fans aren't happy about because they've been trying to get away from Oregon forever. Talk about Oregon and what this game could mean for national championship implications and how much of a thorn they have been in the side of the USC Trojans.
Oregon has been a pain in the neck. Let me just tell you, because Oregon seems to be that team that you can never get rid of. It's that team that is always giving you such a hard time. And Oregon has given USC a hard time. And yes, this game can have a lot of implications as well, particularly if USC's defense is mediocre, because we all know that Oregon has a high-octane offense. They've always had a high-octane offense. They always recruited some of the nation's best talent because of the connection that they have with Nike. They call that university Nike U. That's one of the nicknames there is Nike University because of the deal and the sponsors that they have with Nike because of their connection through Oregon, Beaverton, Oregon, where Nike is originated as well. So a lot of players go there to get those sneakers and to get the Nike merchandise and everything. And so with that being said, you recruit some of the best talent in the nation, some of the most explosive players, some of the most electrifying players across the country, and USC sometimes get caught off guard and they lose to a very good Oregon team. Oregon's never easy to beat. They're always a tough out. This game is a game to look out for. I still got USC though. I got USC in a close game.
And like I said, this is a rivalry. Let me give everybody a quick history. They've been playing since 1915. Oregon has 22 wins and 39 losses. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker, Sports Judge. Since 2007 on to 2020, The out of the 10 matchups, Oregon has won 7 out of 10. So that pretty much tells you, like, wow, Oregon has really had USC's number. But
Yep.
Sports Judge, before I get you out of here and I get to some baseball and I get to some Monday Raw real quick, just let everybody know, what do you think the USC season is going to be? What do you think? What are your expectations? What do you think their record is going to be? And just, do you see them playing in the college football playoff?
Well, my expectations are kind of high for USC, and the reason I say my expectations is high for USC is because, well, look, Lincoln Riley is their head coach.
Yes, sir.
All things considered, what Lincoln Riley has done is come up with one of the best head coaching starts in the history of college football. I mean, we can't sit here and say he hasn't, because the facts are the facts, and he has come in and turned this program around. So I think USC, been in the conference that they are, I think they can go possibly. I want to say I think they can win at least 10 games this season.
At least 10 games.
I think they can. I think they can win at least 10 games. I think they're that good offensively. I just still have my questions about the defense, but I think they're going to be a fun and exciting team to watch. I mean, this isn't a given, but I think they're going to be obviously one of those teams that's up there on the radar. I mean, look, great coaching staff, top flight college. The transfer portal has helped them tremendously as well. USC has perfectly crafted college football, has a perfectly crafted college football program, and they have a rich history and they have a storied history. So I don't see, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be up there again and why they wouldn't make another run. I think you got a lot of returning players. Caleb Williams is coming back. I think USC is going to be in the running. Now I don't know if they'll get a playoff, if they'll get a playoff spot. I mean, it's too early to tell if they will get a playoff spot, but they'll be in conversation. I think it's fair to say that they'll be in conversation.
For me, well, and that's the thing. If we want to, if we can go through them real quick. We want. This is also this happened today, that they are actually number 6 in the college football rankings. LSU is 5, Ohio State's 4, Bama's 3, Michigan's 2, Georgia's 1. I really think that there's some teams ahead of them that I'm not going to say they're overrated, Sports Judge, but what I will say is that, like, for example, a team like Florida State's going to be in the college football playoff. And that's just my opinion. And I think there are some teams that are ahead of them that are going to lose. I look at these teams. There are a lot of questions. There are questions at Bama. There are questions at LSU. There's questions at every school this year, in my opinion, who's considered to be in the college football playoff. So USC, as long as they handle business, in my opinion, and I mean, even if they have that loss to Utah, which nobody could doubt them, or if they get an early loss or whatnot, as long as they finish the season strong, win the Pac-12, they should be in the championship game. Yep. That's one thing I believe, that they should be in the running. Well, Sports Judge, give everybody your social media, let everybody know where they can find you in your shows and all that, as you do great work, sir.
Sure. Appreciate you. They can find me at the Sports Judge on Instagram. They can find me there. They can follow, and they can also follow me on Twitter, Sports Judge 85. You guys can follow me on TikTok. I'm active on TikTok. I'm always posting short takes and reels and videos and interesting stuff there. You guys can follow me there too. The Sports Judge, THE, The Sports Judge 85, The Sports Judge 85 on TikTok. And then you guys can find me on my Facebook page as well, The Sports Judge. Like and follow that as well, and keep up with any current and prior content.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say, ladies and gentlemen, the countdown is on. 246. That's the number, ladies and gentlemen. 246. If you're watching this right now, if you are, listen, folks, it's not that difficult. And I hate to go off on my soapbox real quick. It's not that hard, ladies and gentlemen, to hit that subscribe button. It's not that hard to hit a like button. The man, the sports judge, is 246 away from 1,000 on YouTube. And I just told him the other day, stay positive with the YouTube. Stay positive with the YouTube, because the YouTube can be very difficult sometimes. I get it. But this man is 246 away. So make sure you guys go and support the sports judge on all platforms. Get this man to where he deserves, because, listen, the man is passionate. The man works hard. The man really cares about his sports. He's not a groupie. He's not here to be anybody's friend. I'm not saying that to be derogatory to anyone. He's here to make an impact. And in this game, you got to be here to make an impact. And I believe in this man. I believe in his vision. He is here to make an impact. Sports Judge, it was good talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Yes, sir. And I will catch you next time, my man.
All right. Good talking to you.
Deuces. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Sports Judge. We talked some USC football, did some promotion, and everything I say about the Sports Judge, I absolutely mean. This man has passion. This man loves his sports. This man wants to make an impact in this industry, and I am here to support him. Now, let's get to the next subject of the night as we talk some MLB baseball. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk some MLB. Let's go through the scores tonight. The Atlanta Braves lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates 7-3. That means it's what? It's 3 straight losses for the Atlanta Braves. They lost 2 to the Cubs, and they lost tonight to the Pittsburgh Pirates. That game was a little bit of a delay. They are still 30 games over 500, so this loss should not affect them too much. In the top of the 8th, we have the Chicago Cubs, who are losing to the New York Mets, a New York Mets team who has been struggling all season, but are beating the red-hot Chicago Cubs. Next, we have the Angels, who are defeating the Giants in the 8th inning, an Angels team who has lost 6 straight. They should have sold at the trade deadline, but they're the Angels, whatever. In the middle of the 8th, the Texas Rangers are beating the Oakland Athletics 5-3. The LA Dodgers absolutely demolished. Folks, when I say demolished, they demolished the San Diego Padres. It wasn't close. It was disgusting what they did to the Padres today. It was bad. It was horrible. The Minnesota Twins get back on their winning ways, defeating the Detroit Tigers 9-3. Very important. The Twins need to keep winning. They are 6-4 in their last 10, but have won 5 straight. So this is very, very important that they continue to win, as their lead in the AL Central becomes bigger and bigger by the day. The Cincinnati Reds, they get an important win, a really big win against the Miami Marlins. They have lost 7 out of the last 10. They needed this win to get back into the NL Central race against the Milwaukee Brewers. Speaking of the Brewers, they defeated the Colorado Rockies 12-1. Milwaukee's playing really good baseball right now after their loss to the Atlanta Braves. I'm not going to say they're playing great baseball, because they've lost 6 out of 10 as well. So nobody's really playing good baseball in the Central right now. The Yankees lost to the White Sox. When are they going to fire their manager? When are the Yankees going to fire their damn manager? This is getting to the point of madness. The Yankees are 58-55. Could you imagine if George Steinbrenner was alive? Could you imagine if George Steinbrenner was alive? God rest his soul. But come on. This is just plain and simply ridiculous. You're the Yankees, man. Come on now. Let's go to the wild card stand. Let's see what we have here. We have the Phillies in the National League. We have the Phillies, Giants, and the Reds who lead the wild card. The Cubs are a game and a half back. Let's go back here. In the American League, we have the Rays, Houston Astros, and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees are now 5.5 games out. 5.5 games. Between them and the Angels, I don't know who makes me more frustrated, but I'm very frustrated by both teams. The Angels should have sold at deadline because we knew this was going to end up happening, and the Yankees, we knew that they weren't going to make it out the abyss. We were thinking they were going to make it out of the abyss, but they're not. They're 5.5 games back. There are too many good teams ahead of them. So you know what? It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I have no sympathy for the Yankees. They should have fired their manager when they had the opportunity, but they didn't do it. So you know what? I have no sympathy for them or their organization. Now, let's go to our next and final topic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what happened tonight. And I know I was supposed to do a review today of SummerSlam, but we're going to save the previews for starting WrestleMania season because it's a lot of work, ladies and gentlemen, that gets done when it comes to these wrestling reviews and things like that. And I'm already doing the preview shows. So we're just going to do the preview shows from now on. And sooner or later, we will be doing the previews, but that's going to start after WrestleMania. But let's get to the Raw review that happened tonight here on the Robb Johnson Sports Show on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Robb Johnson Media. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm just saying, has anybody even been in the building? So let me check the comments. Last time I did this, the comments came in slow, but we definitely have people who had commented, but just no response. But that's okay. Let's go to the Monday Raw review. It's not going to be too long, but we're going to get to it, and we're going to talk some things that happened tonight. Raw started out with a 6-man tag. You had Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes go against the Judgment Day. It started out where Cody Rhodes came out, did some talking, talked about the Beast, Brock Lesnar. They were in Minneapolis, Minnesota tonight. Seth Rollins came out. He basically won the match with Cody Rhodes because if everybody remembers, Cody Rhodes is the man who beat Seth Rollins on all those consecutive times, including at WrestleMania. And then you had the pec injury, and then you had Cody Rhodes come back and he beat Seth again. So I believe it was 3 times he beat Seth. So Seth Rollins is looking for that revenge. So what happened is in that segment, you had a situation where the Judgment Day came out. Finn Balor attacked everybody, attacked the baby faces out of nowhere. But Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins ended up getting the advantage. So what they ended up challenging them to a match, which ended up being the main event, which we'll talk about a little later. Next, you had Chad Gable, Ciampa. You had Riddle and Ricochet and Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa, I'm sorry, I don't know why I call him Ciampa. It's Ciampa, Tommaso Ciampa, in a 4-way for a right to face the Ring General Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Let me say something, folks. This match was awesome. If you get a chance to go back and rewatch this match, it was the match of the night, no doubt about it. It was the match that I think that everybody can appreciate. Everybody can say that it was just a delight to watch. It was a throwback match. Chad Gable is just absolutely amazing in the ring. He is gold in the ring. He is gold on the mic. I am a huge Chad Gable fan, even back to the American Alpha days. I absolutely love what he puts in the ring as a product. So I think that by him winning this match, I think him and Gunther, hopefully the match happens at Payback. Hopefully they can build the story. I do know that some of the Kaiser, who was the member of Imperium, he was actually trying to talk to Maxine Dupree, which prompted a match later on between him and Otis, but that had some spiciness to the story. I think she could actually turn on Otis and Chad Gable because it could be a good storyline. I think that could be a very good storyline. Next, you had a video package of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes and their match and everything that happened in that epic feud. I was a big fan of that feud, especially towards the end, because they made Brock look so dominant. Brock was dominant. Brock beat Cody down in the match at SummerSlam. Absolutely beat Cody down all the time. But Cody came back. He became the ultimate babyface. So I was a big fan of how they did that match. After that, they had a segment with Sami Zayn in backstage area. He was trying to get Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to get on the same page, which we know they're not going to be on the same page. They don't like each other, but Sami Zayn was able to get them on the same page. Next, you had a video package for Tribal Combat where they talk about Roman Reigns, talk about Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. Or that's going to be more of a topic where everybody's be talking about this upcoming Friday night on SmackDown as we get to the why Jimmy why. Why Jimmy why. Next, you had, what was that? You had a Miz segment where he was backstage and he was trying to come through. I guess he was trying to get his picture taken. They told him to wait because LA Knight was back there getting his picture taken. He was having a photo shoot done. So that was pretty cool because you have two guys who are really good on the mic, LA Knight and The Miz. So you knew that was going to end up turning into something. Next, you had Shinsuke Nakamura against Bronson Reed. Nakamura goes on to win the match. I think that it was kind of one of those things where it's like, look, he's done with Bronson Reed. He's on to bigger and better things, as we found out later on in the night. Next, you had Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. They had a promo. These two ladies don't like each other. Their match at Payback is going to be really, really good, and I can't wait for it. Next, you have Becky Lynch, who just did a promo that meant absolutely nothing. It was a joke. Not a Becky Lynch fan because I just think that she just doesn't do it. She's just not good. She's not good on the mic. I think she's still living off the Charlotte Flair hype and all that stuff. So yeah. But the Zoe Stark versus Shayna Baszler match, that was an excellent match. That was like an old school NXT match. Again, I could say that's best match number 2 of the night because I was a huge fan of that match. Shayna Baszler had that big time brawl against Ronda Rousey, who's now gone from WWE. I really think that Shayna Baszler is gonna. I think Shayna Baszler can win a women's championship in the future if they market her right. I think she's one of the best women in WWE. That's just my opinion. After that, you had Priest and Finn Balor. They continue to have issues. You have Jamie McDonough who showed up. We're gonna see how that plays itself out. Let me see. Who else do we have here? Okay, Jamie McDonough had attacked Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn's elbow looked completely disgusting. So they had a segment in the back where they were talking to Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Shinsuke Nakamura comes up. And he's like, hey, I want to be in the match. I want to be in the match to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins walks away. Shinsuke gets this crazy look in his eyes. I'm like, yep, that's a tease. That's a tease. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's a tease. Next, you had Kaiser versus Otis. Kaiser wins the match. Then you have Shinsuke Nakamura. Well, that happened a few seconds later when he was able to get into the main event after the McDonough attack on Sami Zayn. LA Knight and The Miz talked their butts off. Great segment. Absolutely loved it. LA Knight goes over on The Miz. The Viking Raiders versus the New Day. New Day ends up winning the match. Great match. In the main event, a lot of action. A lot of stuff happened before the match with Rhea Ripley again with Raquel Rodriguez. The match was a really good match. Could have been better, in my opinion. But you have Cody Rhodes go over, win the match. But after the match, Shinsuke Nakamura kicks Seth Rollins in the face. So the way I look at it is, Who's going to get the shot first? Is it going to be Shinsuke? Is it going to be Cody Rhodes? This, in my opinion, folks, just it lights it up. It lights up the absolute, just absolutely what you want from that World Heavyweight Championship. People say the title is irrelevant because it's not the Roman Reigns' title. I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan, but that title, in my opinion, is very significant. That title, in my opinion, has a lot of prestige already. I think Seth Rollins has done an excellent job of making that title prestigious. I think that Seth Rollins has done an excellent job in making that making that title important. How does Shinsuke, how does he involve himself in this? That's a good question. And I think that's a good thing. See, I think a lot of times we kind of know what the storyline is going to be. We kind of know how everything's going to play itself out. We don't know how this is going to play itself out. You got the Jay McDonough factor now. You got Damian Priest with the briefcase. And one thing I like what WWE is doing, they're making the briefcase relevant. You're always seeing a briefcase. They're not making it irrelevant. They're making it relevant. And I think that what Senior Money in the Bank is doing, Damian Priest, is really elevating Money in the Bank. And I think that what they're also doing, indirectly, is making the profile of the World Heavyweight Championship so much bigger. Because Seth Rollins, in my opinion, is such a good champion. But if you somehow can get the championship on Shinsuke Nakamura, I wouldn't mind seeing Shinsuke against Cody Rhodes. I think that's an excellent match. I think that's a match that most wrestling fans would not mind seeing. It's a great opportunity, great opportunity for them to highlight that and for us to see that match, hopefully very, very soon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 20 of the Robb Johnson Sports Show. We're close to an hour, about 2.5 minutes from an hour on this episode. I hope you guys enjoy your night. And then tomorrow night, just remember, we will be giving you guys our top 5 in college football. That's all we're doing tomorrow night. We're not doing anything else. We're just going to give you a top 5 in college football. And it's going to come from some of the Legacy Maker Sports Network experts. I may give you mine. I may not. I may have to wait. We'll see. But for Robb Johnson, for the Legacy Maker Sports Network team, and for Robb Johnson Media Productions, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And just remember to check back tomorrow night for episode 21 of the Robb Johnson Sports Show.